Hi everyone, it's me again. I'm back. So, yeah, in today's video, by popular request, and by popular request, I mean one person named at Random History Gaming who wrote, "Please do Shapiro versus Vance or DeSantis with two S's, and the please is spelled PLZ, but of course, unless you're at Random History Gaming, doesn't really apply to you. So today we're gonna make the video because I've already solidified to myself I'm going to, and I won't be able to sleep until I do. So yeah, so popular, well, by his request, I think it's to him. Uh, I was told Josh Shapiro versus JD Vance, so I guess that's what we're doing today. Yay. So happy. And so for the running mates, I do think running mates will have an important impact on the election this time because okay. For Josh Shapiro. So what I think is gonna happen is Democrats, they're gonna at least somewhat learn, don't play identity politics, not everything needs to be identity politics. However, I do think it would be in Josh Groh's best interest to try to reduce turnout issues among minority voters, especially like black voters. We're probably going to see turnout dips, probably a bit more leaning towards Republican maybe than 2024, 2020, especially 2020 for that matter. You can take a look at the demographic shifter in a little bit. So I do think what he's going to do, I think Raphael Warnock will be his running mate, which I'm a little crazy, which I probably am. I do think Raphael Warnock will be his running mate. First of all, it will help black turnout like absolutely not crumble. And it's technically you do have a decent argument for why he would be a decent candidate, a little bit more than Kamala Harris would have. So I do think Raphael Warnock he will probably not be as called a DEI candidate as Kamala Harris was. And also he's from Georgia, so that's very much going to benefit him in Georgia and North Carolina because those are 32 electoral votes that if Josh Shapiro needs a chance to regain the White House, I do think he needs it. And I was kind of told to use Ron DeSantis as JD Vance's running mate, but I do think Ron DeSantis is a decent candidate to use because you would want you would want the Sunbelt appeal as neither candidate has Sunbelt appeal. And you'd want to balance out the Raphael Warnock thing with the Ron DeSantis thing. So I do think that JD Vance will nominate Ron DeSantis, Marco Rubio, or Tulsi Gabbard, or Vivek, one of the four. And so to actually take a look before they can make this into an ultra fancy schmancy prediction. We can do the keys to the White House. I know they've kind of been proven wrong, but if Alan Lichtman had used them properly, it probably he would have gotten it right. Or a few things he kind of messed up on, in my opinion. So he won in midterm games. Oh, so oops. Yeah, midterm games. It is true. Wait, no. The incumbent party, which is Donald Trump. So ignore the numbers, ignore the people here. Midterm games. Certainly, so it's false. Republicans did not get midterm games. Um, was there a primary challenge? False, there was a primary challenge. False, the incumbent is not seeking re-election. True, there's no third party. Let's just say the economy. Let's just give it to him and see the economy works. I think we're gonna see a major policy change from that administration. It's already looking kind of shocky. No social unrest. Um, false. I think there will be social unrest. Ignore this. Ignore this. Looks like Josh Shapiro's already won. We know. It's just oops. No scandal. Considering Trump is quite literally getting convicted for a felony, no foreign military failure. Let's just give it to him. Let's just say. And certainly true. Certainly true. Charismatic incumbent. I'll give it to him. Uncharismatic challenger. So it looks like Josh Shapiro barely wins. It looks like he narrowly wins. Ignore the things here. We don't have a keys to the White House for a race that isn't happening yet. So you're gonna have to bear with me. Yeah. So that's what the 13 key says, which I don't know if you guys still trust it, but yeah. So let's take a look at the demographic shifter. This is why I'm gonna get to why black turnout falling. such an actually big issue. So in 2020, black voters voted for Joe Biden by 90 to 9, and that's why he won Georgia pretty much. That's why he won the Rust Belt, because the Rust Belt, its major population centers have huge black populations in it, like Philadelphia, decent black population. Detroit, we saw a huge black population with like Lizzo's endorsement and everything. Um, I don't know how good that endorsement was considering Detroit has a high crime rate, but oh well. And then Wisconsin, Milwaukee, huge black population. So we saw that's why Joe Biden won his race. But then if we take a look at 2024, we saw black turnout dipped by like a point or two, and it was I do believe it was 86 to 13. So we see that that would give Trump 262 electoral votes, just adjusting the black vote. And we take a look, turnout drop, let's just say we dropped the turnout to 10%. We dropped the turnout to 11%. Donald Trump already wins the election. So that's how consequential the black vote is in this election. It is one of the bigger minorities actually. Let's just say in this hypothetical scenario, what happens without Raphael Warnock? Democrats, let's just say they get to 82 Republican. So let's just say this happens out of a hypothetical, not even adjusting any other minority group, and like obviously I do think black turnout will dip to like 10%. So we see 312 electoral votes just because of that. I just want to say not the most reliable. But then we see Georgia's a 9.2% margin. And this is what I mean about the margins not being reliable. This is exit polling data, so it's not the most concrete. And then North Carolina 7.5, and those are just national shifts. You can get to statewide shifts in a little bit. But yeah, that's why very, very important that Josh Shapiro does not absolutely bomb with the black vote. So let's get on with the actual video. I will be pausing midway through to talk about the demographic shifter. So yeah. Josh Shapiro versus Raphael Warnock. Yay. So for Josh Shapiro, I think his safe states going to be Washington, Oregon, California, Hawaii. These are all going to be states that Kamala Harris won. Connecticut, I do think Connecticut, Rhode Island, Delaware, they're all going to be safe this time around. Means first. Massachusetts, Maryland, and then the District of Columbia. I do want to add one state to the safe column. I do think the state of Colorado will be safe this time. We saw the trends back in 2024. It was an 11-point margin for Kamala Harris. The largest county in the state, El Paso County. Yeah, El Paso County, the largest county in the entire state, shifted to the left, actually, by about a point. You see that? And overall, the entire state, it only shifted about 2.5% to Donald Trump, while the nation as a whole shifted about 6 points. So, yeah, realistically speaking, I do think Josh Shapiro, he can win the state. It is a left trending state. Take a look. I'm just gonna turnout was 38% with non-college graduates. With white college graduates, it was about 20, 32%. Black voters was about 11. I've dealt with exit polling data so much, I know. 5-ish points. I was like 5 or 6. But CNN says 6, so I'm gonna go with 6. And this is about let's just let's just say this overall pretty accurate-ish. And then we just with the white non-college graduate shifting towards Donald Trump, the white college graduates net no shift, black voters we see in the black vote shift. We see black vote drop to 86% and then gains 13-ish percent. So we see these margins pretty ish similar to what they were back then. And by back then, I mean quite literally 2 months ago. Hispanic vote dropped to 51%. That gives him Nevada. So Michigan hasn't bothered to shift yet, but okay. This goes up to 46. And we see these margins pretty similar. Georgia's 3.5 and the North Carolina's 4.2. So, like I said, it's not the most sometimes accurate than Asian voters. I think it was like, yeah, we take a look at exit polling data. I I'm just gonna go with a pretty even split. There we go. So that moves everything. This looks accurate, guys. So, yeah, we see. What was I talking about? Colorado. So it's only a 9 point margin for Harris. But yeah, we see. So she did actually a little bit better in Colorado. And then for JD Vance and Ron DeSantis, I think Utah, Idaho, Wyoming, Montana, the Dakotas, Nebraska is third, Nebraska at large, Kansas. I want to put Missouri in the safe column. No. Actually, no, I'll put Missouri in the safe column. Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Tennessee, Kentucky, and West Virginia and Indiana. I just think JD Vance, he's a huge Rust Belt person. Appalachia, Rust Belt, his area, his domain, his uncharted slash charted territorial waters. I do think. Yeah. And then for Josh Shapiro and Raphael Warnock, I do think their likely states will be in New Mexico, Illinois, New York, New Hampshire, Maine at large, and Virginia. I feel like I'm forgetting a state that I'm not. Oh, wait. Minnesota and New Hampshire. Okay. So for New Mexico, we did see a lot of shifts in New Mexico. It went from an 11-point margin to a 6-point margin. And that was because Trump, first of all, he did very well with the Hispanics. We see the map here. 10 points in Socorro County, 14 in Rio Arriba, 14 in McKinley, 7 in Chibola. We see all these shifts all across New Mexico. We come to the understanding Donald Trump, like we did, very, very good in the Hispanic person in the nation. Take a look at the demographic shift on how much he should actually have lost the state by. He should only have lost it by 1.6. And also the border, it's not going to be a pressing issue this time. I do believe that from what I think, Josh Shapiro has to be better on the border than Kamala Harris was. Not that Pennsylvania politics really matter on the border, but yeah, that really matters considering that's on the other side of the country. But still, issued voters in 2024, issues of voters in 2016, 2020, probably not so much in 2028. Virginia, we are going to see the black turnout. It is going to dip in Virginia. Let's just take a look at the dip real quick. Let's just say 10% of the electorate. And then Trump gets to 15% with black voters. Virginia would still be a 4 point margin. And yeah, I do think it was going to be I do think because Virginia is not a very elastic state. I've done the math before. It would take 30% turnout to Nova with a 15-point shift to Nova to turn it red from where it was in 2020. Same thing with New Jersey. Jersey's probably just gonna say like a 9 point-ish margin. In New York and Illinois, I'm gonna do together. I debated putting them in the safe column. I didn't just because I do think people they're still fed up with the Democratic Party, honestly. Where huge bad crime rates in New York, huge population density, the housing crisis, all those issues in New York and by extension Illinois, because they are losing population and losing population quick. I just see them both being less than 15. And then New Hampshire. New Hampshire's a weird state because New Hampshire always votes against incumbents. It's a very interesting political state to talk about. Because we go back to 2000, we see Bush carried the state by 1.3, and then we saw Kerry, only state he flipped in the entire nation, went to by 1.4, then voted against Bush's party, voted for Obama by 9.6, then voted for Obama by 5.6, rejected the Democratic Party, voted for Clinton by 0.37, and then voted for Biden by 7.4, rejecting the Trump administration. And then in 2024, rejected the Biden administration, only going to that by 2.8. So if Trent stayed the same, Shapiro's slated to win the state by about 6. But even then, JD Vance, he's he has the appeal of the college white educated Christian vote, which maybe not as much the Christian vote, the white college educated vote. Huge, huge section in New England. Very, very interesting. New Hampshire, white and college educated, which creates an interesting power dynamic. For Republicans, their likely states Alaska, Texas, Florida, Nebraska's first congressional district, Iowa, Ohio, Maine, second congressional district, and South Carolina. Actually, no, I'm gonna put South Carolina as likely. South Carolina, not much to talk about. Trump won the state by 17. That's what Harris collapsing across the entire country. with voters. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, black vote. Well, I do think I am probably overestimating Raphael Warnock, his support, because VPs clearly don't matter that much. But still, we take a look. So we we are back to the same seven swing states as we had back in 2024. Seven swing states in the Nebraska Second Congressional District, which I'm going to categorize early. Um, it's the middle of it's the middle of Nebraska, honestly. JD Vance, it's college educated, so I think JD Vance will do decently good with it. It's also suburbia, so JD Vance will probably do good with it. And first of all, Harris won Douglas County by 10 and then Lancaster by 4. Yet somehow the first congressional district trended to the right, not the left. I don't get how. Let's take a look at Nebraska shift real quick, because this has been bugging me. Literally how this entire region shifted to the right, except for one county. The entire area shifted to the right, and this was still a 51 point state. So that's me screaming. So we're at the very familiar 226, 219 firewall. Let's take a look at Raphael Warnock and JD Vance's lean states. I want to start Republican lean states just to get them out of the way. I think Nevada and Arizona. I do think the Latino vote, it is going to shift a little bit more back to the Democrats without Trump on the ballot, without the economy, without inflation, without immigration, without the border being huge-ish issues. I do think I do think JD Vance loses a little bit ground with Hispanics. Maybe let's just say 3%, and then so we see Arizona becomes a 4.5 margin. Nevada somehow becomes a 4.2% margin. Don't know where the math checks out on that, but still in a lean category. So then JD Vance, he's not Donald Trump, so he's gonna be able to turn out the McCain Republicans that voted against Trump. Probably appeal more to the college educated parts of Phoenix and areas like that. And yeah, Nevada, similar story. I don't see Nevada shifting that much to the left. Without Trump on the ticket, it was a 3.1 majority. And because Trump got Clark County pretty close, this is the first state I want to talk about on the demographic shift swingometer. So we can actually adjust the margins in Nevada, which is pretty cool. Let's take a look at Nevada real quick. This Washoe County and Clark County, they both shifted to the right by pretty substantial margins. And we can actually take a look at the exit polls too, which is wonderful. I wish they had exit polls for every state, but they don't. They only have it for the seven major swing states. That's why I always use Fox News exit polling data. We're going to go down to where it says race. Black voters made up 8% of the electorate, so we're going to adjust that down. Let's just say 8.2. And they actually broke a bit more towards Trump. They got to the margins I was talking about earlier, the 18, 17-ish% margin. And right there, right there, Kamala Harris, she loses about a fourth of her support in the state, not even taking in college educated people into an example. And here we go. Here's an example. Kamala Harris is so bad with Latino voters. Latino voters in Nevada. Latino voters in Nevada voted the Republican Party, which is kind of insane to think about considering this was a huge shift. A 11-point shift to the right in Latino voters, which is insane. There. And just like that. Just that shift alone gives Donald Trump the state of Nevada. We don't even need to adjust any more demographic, which I'm going to adjust more demographics just because I'm very interested in seeing. Do, do. White voters with college degrees. Um, oh, interesting. So Trump actually won white voters with college degrees in Nevada in 2020 and lost it in 2024. That's very interesting to think about. So 54. Oh, it's just Okay. We're gonna move this to 54. There. You see, Trump, even with that, he is still winning the state by about less than 1%, but he's still winning the state. And then Trump does do better with that demographic. So yeah, let's just say the Hispanic vote. You see, it would take the Hispanic vote. Let's just say Trump, the Hispanic vote needs to shift 15 points to the left for Josh Shapiro to win the state of Nevada. In Arizona, we're going to see a similar story, and I don't feel like characterizing it right now as we're taking too much time in this video. So for the lead Democratic states, I think Pennsylvania and I think Georgia. I'm gonna get some flack for this, but Georgia is one of the only states in the country that had a huge metropolitan area that actually shifted towards Kamala. Atlanta's a very, very large city. In the Atlanta suburbs, they've only been trending left and left. How do I get out of Nevada? Oh, there we go. So Biden, we see Biden. He did very good. He won these counties by huge, insane margins. And we see the ex the exurbs of the like very inward Atlanta metro area. So they all shifted to the left. We see the only reason Trump did decently good in the state is because all the rural areas down here, they voted 6 points, 5 points more to the right for him than they did in 2020. So that's really the only reason we saw Georgia go to the right. And we're not going to see that in 2028. JD Vance rural support is going to be down. I don't know if I mentioned that. And Raphael Warnock being on the ticket, that's going to cause a decent amount of people in Georgia, especially to come out and vote for him. And so for tilt states, these states, I do think they're going to be tilt states. So let's talk about Pennsylvania first. Actually, let's talk about Georgia and what we can do with the black vote. So this is the black vote. We're going to adjust Georgia real quick. Actually, we don't really need to talk about Georgia, honestly. I do feel like it's a pretty easy to distinguish state. Okay, so quite literally, JD Vance needs to win all these states to win the election. So first, I'm gonna give him Michigan. This is where we're gonna bring the demographic shifter back in. We're gonna take a look at exit polls in the state of Michigan. Might reveal some pretty interesting things which you might not have thought about. Take a look at Michigan, and we go down to where once again, this is all going to come down to the black vote and how the black vote turns out because all these 7 states except for Arizona and Nevada have huge, huge black populations. We take a look. Okay. Scroll up. White voters. So let's take a look at African American voters first. So they shifted towards Donald Trump by 3 points, and Joe Biden only won the state by 3 points. So it was 87 to 11. So we see there Kamala Harris, her lead goes down to 2 points. And we take a look at turnout in black areas dropped in, let's say. So we see here the black vote, if it drops any more, and we keep the 2020, if we do you just have to keep the 2020 margins, Donald Trump wins Michigan. We're not even taking into account 2024. We see that with other racial and ethnic groups, Asians and others. There isn't anything for Asian, but other ethnic groups. To take a look at that. This is your Arab American voters. I don't actually know what group they fit into. So Donald Trump goes up to 59% with that, and 37. Yeah, see, it doesn't even accommodate a 30-point shift. Yeah, we take a look there. I wasn't even taking the white college educated factor, which Even if we keep the margins, Donald Trump did so good in with Michigan that I don't see the state going anywhere that's not. Yeah. And so for these two states, pretty competitive states, let's start with Wisconsin. And so that gives Raphael Warnock the election, Wisconsin. Let's take a look at Wisconsin real quick. So this was the state Joe Biden. Joe Biden, this was his third narrowest state carrying. And if we take a look at exit polls in 2024, we can see that Wisconsin, like Michigan, like Pennsylvania, was actually the narrowest state. So it kind of proves it's a little inelastic, which Wisconsin as a whole is pretty inelastic. Um, we didn't see much split ticketing in the Senate race and presidential race. We only saw about 1.8%, less than 2%. So black voters, Donald Trump did amazing with black voters in the state of Wisconsin. He got the margin from 10% to 23%. He won one fourth of black voters in Wisconsin, and I don't know how insane that is. Kamala Harris left 13% with that, and if that electorate itself is why Donald Trump won the state. There we go. We see similar margin too, 0.9%. We don't even need to adjust any other demographic. Let's just say black black turnout also decreased. I'm not gonna mark that. And Hispanic and Latino vote. Somehow Kamala Harris did better with the Hispanic and Latino vote in Wisconsin, which I find hilarious considering she did nowhere else in the country did she do better with Hispanic and Latinos. I think I'm talking too much. We see. Let's just say we are shifting. It takes a 10-point shift in the black vote for Kamala Harris to win the state back by 0.1%. And that's not even adjusting turnout numbers. The fact white voters, you take a look at white voters, the largest demographics in each state. White voters make up the pretty huge part. College white voters with college degrees. Trump did better with white voters with college degrees. See, look, but oh God, do I want to give Wisconsin to him? I this is oh God, you know what? Screw it. I'm giving JD Vance and Ron DeSantis the state of Wisconsin. I changed my mind. No joke, I have changed my mind. Actually, you know what, guys? I'm changing my mind back. I think Wisconsin narrowly. And so what states left? North Carolina. And I think JD Vance and Josh Shapiro and Raphael Warnock carry the state of North Carolina. And this is why every single time since the dawn of age, actually, that's an over exaggeration. Every single time, I should not have exited those exit polls since, let's just see how far this thing can go. Let's just go back to let's go back to 1964. So every single time the White House shifts parties, at least one state, the candidate did not win. The party did not win the last time they had the White House wins. Let's see if it goes back this far. So when Democrats carry, when they win back the White House, they win states they did not win before. Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. We see those states they voted for Goldwater over Lyndon B. Johnson and now voting for Carter. Take a look at this map. When the White House goes back to the Democratic Party, we see the map. We see they won states they did not win before, like Nevada, like Colorado, like New Mexico, like Montana. We see those shifts. Those were all Republican states. Like I said, in case I'm gonna repeat it again. When the White House shifts parties, the party that won always wins a state. that the party did not win the last time they had the White House. Let's take a look at 1992. We go back to 1976. That was the last time a Democrat held the White House before this. Take a look. Let's take a look. Arizona. Wait, no, not Arizona. What state could we use in this situation? Oh, we already did this. 2004 when the White House shifts again. Let's take a look. What states? States. Last time they won the White House, right? The win states 2004. Let me buffer real quick. I'm gonna figure out what states. Maybe 92 and 96 are the exceptions. What state on here did they not win last time? What state on here did not flip in 2000? What state in here flipped in 2004? I'm gonna look towards the Democrat. Oh. Well, ignore 2004. We see oh wait, that was when Republicans won. I'm stupid. That's why. Democrat, 2008, they won Colorado, they won New Mexico, they won Nevada, they won all these states. Next time Democrats won back the White House, 2020. So they won the state of Georgia, they won Arizona, those two states. So when they win the White House back in 2026, the only state left is North Carolina. And that's why I do think Josh Shapiro and Raphael Warnock win the election 287 to 251. I'm really debating about Wisconsin, but at that point, it won't matter. Bye, guys. I talked too much in this video. This is like a 30-minute video, I swear.